Hi guys, it's Mrs. Anglade. Hey, I'm going to start you off with a tutorial on how to model the castle. And so here we go. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to right click on the camera and the lights. Let me turn on my screencast keys. There we go. Okay, so you can see what we're doing. Then we are going to move those to another layer. We're not going to delete them, we're just going to move them. And how to do that? We hit M, and then it's on layer 1 right now, so we are going to move it to layer 20. Later on, we're going to move them back, but we're just going to move it off to the side so that we don't have to worry about it right now. Okay, so we're going to right click on the cube and we're going to delete it. Several things that we're going to do over here on our display properties. Again, if you did not have this open, there's a little plus sign up there that to go ahead and open these up. What we want to do on our display is we want to open up our display. Right now we only have 16 lines in our grid area, so we want to make that a few more. So we're going to add 100 and that grid line becomes a lot more. All right, so now we want to put our cursor directly in the middle of the grid. Okay, that's going to be really important when we go to model and extrude and things like that. So it's really important that you do that. So let's go ahead, and we're in object mode. Let's go ahead and hit Shift A. Not that one, not Shift F, S. Shift A. There we go. Shift A for mesh plane. And we are going to want to rotate that. Let's see, rotate that 90 degrees on the x-axis, and then we are going to go into edit mode, and so we're going to do tab, and then we're going to hit X, and we're going to delete only the faces. So we still have the vertices and the edges, just not the faces. Okay, so now we're going to go back to object mode, and we are going to rotate that 90 degrees. I probably could have on the z-axis. I probably could have done that the last time around. And one last thing that we need to do before we can start extruding is this is still a 2x2 square. So we're going to want this to be a little bit longer. So we're going to change our dimensions to 1 by 9.5. Okay, so there we go. All right, so now we should be ready to go. If we look at it from the top, that's exactly how the directions look whenever we go to look at that. We're still in object mode, so let's go ahead and hit tab to get back into edit mode. And let's select all if they weren't already selected. I hit A. And then I am going to extrude on the x-axis. So I'm going to extrude, and then I'm going to confine it to the x-axis by pressing X, and then I'm going to hit 16. Okay, so what I did is you could count these little grid lines and it would be 16 units long. So now this is what we have. We have our wall, right? Okay, let's go ahead and get out of that solid shade mode. Okay, so we don't want those vertices selected anymore, so we're going to hit A. And then let's go ahead and go to front view, which is number 1. You know what? It looks funny because I'm still in perspective mode right here. So let's go, ortho mode makes it look a lot better. So go into ortho mode by hitting 5 if you haven't already done so. So now down here in edit mode, we're going to hit our edge select. And so what we're about to do is we're about to cut this wall. So I right click twice to highlight one of these walls, and then I'm going to hit Control E. And I'm going to go down to edge rings, and what that does is just a shortcut to select all 4 of my edges, and then I'm going to cut this wall, so Control R. Okay, so see how I get this purple vertical line, and then I can also get this purple horizontal line. Okay, so I want this purple vertical line, so I'm going to left click once, and then I can set it down anywhere that I want to. So I'm just going to set it down because the directions tell us where exactly we want this to be. This is 16 units long right now, and we're about to cut this wall so that we can extrude it up. So what we want to do is go over here to your transform menu, make sure you're in global, click on global, and your X median needs to be at 15. So what that does is if I go into the top number pad 7, and so I'm going to shift, whoops, there we go. And if I scroll in, I can see that this is exactly 1 unit wide. So for my next wall. Okay, so now we go back into vertex select. This is going to be the same process over and over and over again. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to box select these top vertices, and we're going to extrude again, but this time we're going to be on the y-axis, the green axis, right? So we're going to extrude, and we want to confine it to the y-axis, and we want to extrude it 32 units. Okay, and I hit enter there. Okay, and so now we want to deselect those. we want to go back to Edge Select, and we're going to right click and we're going to select one of those edges, and we are going to hit Control E for edge rings, and we are going to then hit Control R. Now you can do this in a different view if you want to, but I just choose to do it in this view. Okay, so that is what we want. We want to cut this wall going this way, and I'm going to set it up here somewhere. Okay, the directions do tell us that we want it on the Y median, right? It makes sense. This is from the Y axis. We want this to be 31.5. Okay, so if we zoom in on this again, I'm shift clicking and I'm going down, you can tell that this is 1 unit wide again. Okay, so let me get the directions and I'll be back. Okay, so now let's hit A to deselect that. Let's go back to Vertex Select and let's box select those vertices, and now we're going to extrude it now in a negative direction because we want to go to the left, right? So we're going to extrude it on the x-axis, confine it to the x, a negative 47. Okay, and so it should look like that. We're going to deselect by hitting A, and then we're going to go to Edge Select. Do you see a pattern in this? I sure hope so. So Edge Select, we're going to hit Control E for edge rings. We're going to hit Control R to cut our new wall. We're going to put it over here somewhere. And let's see, I forget what median, to X median at a negative 31. Oh, I have it almost right. Negative 31. All right, so if we zoom in, yes indeed, we do have a 1 by 1 square right there, which we should if we set it down correctly. And so you guessed it, we're going to go back to Vertex Select, we're going to deselect those vertices, we're going to box select these, and if I have to guess, I'm not looking at the directions, but I'm going to probably extrude on the y-axis negative 32 because I'm going down. Yes, I was right. Okay, if I wasn't right, I could have just hit escape. If it would have gone the other way, just hit escape, and it will go back to the view before. All right, so yep, you guessed it. Vertex Select, deselect those edges, select that edge, Control E, edge ring, Control R, cut that wall. And I believe that is going to be 0.5. Let me see if I'm right. 0.5. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Let's zoom in and see if we're right. Yeah, it looks pretty good. All right, let's deselect. Let's do a vertex select. All right, guys, so I was wrong. This was supposed to be 16 units, so I'm going to Control Z that. I had to go back to the directions. I messed up. So we want to extrude on the x-axis 15 units. Okay, so that's where I can get the 16 openings, so I apologize for that. All right, so what we have is our castle walls. Let's deselect that edge, and let's go into, we haven't seen what it looks like dimensionally yet. So there you go, there's that. And so let's go ahead and over here, you can do this one of two places. You can do it right here where it says item plane, or you can do it over here where it says plane. I like to just double click over here. This is going to be called castle walls, so I'm going to rename this as castle walls. And then we just want to do a little bit of cleaning up on our castle walls. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into object mode and see this little origin right here, this little thing with the white line around it, that orange dot, that's our origin. We're going to want to move this around and things like that, so we are going to change the origin to, it's right here on this origin. Now yours might look a little bit different. I think yours probably has a gray mark on it, so I want to do origin to geometry, and notice how that has kind of changed that to the middle of our castle. And one last thing that we're going to do is we're going to go back to our 3D cursor over here, right here, and we're going to put our cursor back to 0, and then we're going to do something new that we haven't done before, and that is we're going to hit Shift S, and it's like snap to grid. So we are actually going to physically move this castle wall to that, we're going to move the origin to the middle. So we are going to snap to we're going to snap the selection to cursor. So notice what happened is that now this castle is directly in the middle of of the origin, and that's what we want. Okay. All right, so one last detail that we need to take care of is, let's go out of solid mode and let's go back into edit mode, and let's do a number 7. We deleted that face earlier on the plane, and so now we're going to box select. We're going to box select these vertices back, and we can add a face back. And the way that we do that is we just hit F for face, and if we go into solid mode, you can see that mode is back, that face is back. Over here, you can kind of see, I don't know if you can kind of see that, but this face is also open, and so we're going to do the same thing. So go out of wireframe mode, go into not that mode, 7, and let's box select these two over here, and let's do an F for face, and then let's Z back into solid mode, and now you notice that it is now closed again, and all is well. Alright, so the next part of the video, you know what, we haven't saved this yet, so let's make sure we go in and save. So File, Save As. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we are on page 27. Wow, look at all of my castle downloads. So you're going to save it to your H drive. Because I'm at home, I am going to go ahead and save it somewhere else. So you save it to your H drive. I'm going to save it to my Dropbox, and we will be good to go. Animation. Look at all my files. That's crazy, huh? Oops, not candle. I want to go to castle. Alright, so I'm going to name it as castle underscore Englade. That's how I want you to save it. Castle Englade, and we are on, what page did I say? 27. So 27, okay? And I hit enter, and then I'm going to hit save as Blender file. Next up, we are going to work on the catwalk. So hold on. Okay, next up we are going to do the catwalk. So let's go ahead and take it out of solid mode, and let's take it into the front ortho view. So what we're going to do is we're going to box select the top vertices just of our walls. Okay, and so we have selected that, and then we are going to extrude. We are going to extrude a negative 0.5. Okay. And let me make sure. Object mode. Okay, so you can see that kind of raised it up a half of a unit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to deselect this. Then we're going to do the little edges. We're going to put a lip on the edges. So we're going to box select. We're in right mode. Let's deselect that. We are in right side view mode. Let's box select those, and we are going to extrude those a -1. Okay. And then over here, we are also going to box select. So deselect those vertices. Let's box select, and extrude -1 here as well. All right, so that's on the right sides. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to view number 1, the front, and we're going to do the same exact thing, and I'm going to show you what this looks like in just a minute. So we're going to box select just that right there, and let's extrude -1, and let's extrude a box select over here, extrude -1. Okay, and let's go into solid mode, and let's see what we just did. Okay, so do you see what we did? We lifted that up just a little bit, and we put like a little lip around our castle, and we are now going to separate that from the castle and call that a catwalk. So let's deselect everything that we have chosen right now. Let's go into solid mode. Let's go into our front view, and now we're going to separate it from the castle. Okay, some of you might already know how to do this if you had something attached to your submarine. So we're going to box select the top 2 rows. Okay, so those are selected, and we're going to hit the letter P, and we want to separate that selection. And so now if we go to object mode, you now see that we have 2 objects. I'm going to deselect so I can right click on, there's the castle walls, and then there is the catwalk. And so let's call it catwalk. See right here, because we separated it from castle walls, it's called .001. If I double click right here, I can go in and rename that catwalk. Okay. And the last thing that we want to do is see where that origin is. We want to change that origin to geometry. So go to origin, and I want to origin to geometry, and notice how that moved it so that it is up at the level of the catwalk. Okay, so believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we are now on page 33. So I'm going to go save as, and see how it's already called 70 or 27. I'm going to go in and I'm going to change that to a 33. I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to hit save as Blender file. Okay, y'all, now we're ready for our Cornice block. So I'm going to deselect the catwalk, and well, actually I do want to select the catwalk, and let's go into edit mode. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on this left front panel right here, and we're going to go into edge select. What we're about to do is we're about to cut these panels right here by selecting an edge, Control E, edge rings. And so the directions that I've given you is a little bit different than what I want you to do. It tells you to subdivide 3 times. Let me show you what happens when I subdivide 3 times, and this is why I changed the directions here. If I hit subdivide 3 times, look at all those little tiny pieces that it did. I do not want all those tiny little pieces, okay? So I'm back to, let me go completely back. Okay, so there's my edge rings. I'm going to hit subdivide once. Okay, now if your little menu down here looks like this, then just click on it. Okay, it probably opened up to be this, but if not, just open this up. See where it says number of cuts? I want you to change that to 7 and then hit enter. Notice that it just cut that wall into 7 units, and that's what we want. Okay, so I'm going to do this a little bit out of order of what the directions are, because it just makes more sense for me to cut all of these walls and then to extrude up. We're making those little tiny blocks every other block. You'll see what we're doing in just a minute. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and right click on this one, Control E, Control edge rings that, and then I'm going to, you guessed it, subdivide 1 time with 7 cuts. 7 cuts, okay? Let's go ahead and do these sidewalls. If you look up at the board, it is there as well, but we're going to do, I believe it was 16 cuts, so Control E, edge ring. I want to subdivide 1 time with 16 cuts. This one you are going to have to type in the number. If you're using your arrows, it's not going to let you go past 10. So 16 cuts here. Let's do this one over here. Control E, edge rings, and we are going to do subdivide 1 time with 16 cuts. Enter. And then let's do this one back here. Right click to select that, Control E, edge rings, and we are going to subdivide 1 time with 18 cuts on the back. Okay, so let me show you what is going to happen here. It's easiest to we're going to go into face select. Okay, now for me, whenever I was doing this, I deselected by hitting A. What was hard for me is that it was hard for me to see which face was which, because it's like you're seeing through it. So this is a case where you would probably want to go into solid mode. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go all the way around the castle, choosing every other one, except when I get to the corner. You see how this is like a little square right here? I'm going to choose every one of these around the edges. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to hold down Shift to select all of these that I'm going to select. So I'm going to right click on this one, and then I'm going to hold down the Shift button, and I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to keep doing that. Right click, hold on, let me A that. I don't know why that was being, so Shift, being a little laggy today. There it goes. Okay, so this, I'm going to choose those tiny little squares. I don't know why it's being so laggy. It'll show up. It's So I'm choosing every other one. And when I get to the corner, I'm going to choose those little 3. Let me let it catch up. Jeez. All right, so I chose 2 that I didn't want. So I click on them again. There it goes. Okay. So let's see. Oh. Okay. Let's try this again. I'm going to pause the video so I can go all the way around, but that's what you're going to do. You're going to right click, and then when you get to the corners, you're going to select all 3 of those. I'm going to pause the video so that you don't have to sit here and watch me do all this, and then I'll be back after I've chosen all the ones that I want to extrude. Okay, so now you can see I've selected every other block with choosing the 3 little blocks at every corner. All right, so now I'm ready to extrude. So I'm just going to hit E, and I'm going to extrude that -1, and so all of them are going to come up, and I'm going to turn off my face select so that you can see exactly what this looks like. And then I'm going to hit A so what has happened, or let's go into object mode. So what you can see has happened is that we made the little, you know, reminiscent castle little, I don't know what they call those, but anyway. Okay, so let's go back into, let's get out of that mode. We're going to now separate this. So we want, and these little blocks are black. I don't know why they're black, but that's completely fine. Okay, so now we want to separate this from the catwalk. These are called Cornice blocks. So what we're going to do is we're going to box select just the top 2 rows. Make sure you don't get that bottom row too. Okay, so I'm going to middle mouse button around, making sure I got all the vertices that I wanted. And yep, you guessed it, I am going to hit P for to separate selection. And so now when we go into object mode, what you can see is we have the castle walls, we have the catwalk, and we have the Cornice blocks, of which we need to go name those. So it's called catwalk.001. I'm going to double click, and I'm going to call this Cornice Blocks. Okay, let's go ahead and save this. Actually, let's go ahead and do one last thing, and that is we always want to move that origin to geometry. That's just always a good thing to do. You can kind of see that it changed. And then we're going to go in and we're going to save it. I'm trying to see what page we are on. Page 43. All right, so save as. Well, we got 10 pages further. All right, so that's going to be the end of this video. And I will, did I say 43? Yeah. And I will continue in a new video. See you soon.